Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Do Ministry Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about the Path of Exile Delirium League mechanic. So whenever you enter a map with this mechanic, you're going to see a giant mirror right at the beginning of the map. And in order to interact with the mechanic, all you have to do is walk through the mirror. So what happens when you do that is the map will be covered in this fog, and you'll notice on the bottom left here a little sort of icon has appeared. And right now it says jewelry. What that is those are your reward icons. So as you kill enemies inside the fog, you're going to see this reward go up. And in my case, I've got 2 levels now of jewelry. Now, whenever you hit 3 levels in a reward, you're going to see the next award pop up as well. So now I've hit level 3 in jewelry, and you can see that a weapon reward has come up at level 1. And those will continue to go up as I kill monsters as well. And when the next one hits level 3, you'll get another level of rewards, etc., etc. Now, one thing to note is that while you're in this fog, you can see additional monsters are spawning that are part of the Delirium League mechanic that you wouldn't see in the map otherwise. Now, also, this fog doesn't last forever if you engage in the mechanic through the mirror. The fog will start to dissipate from the beginning of the map to the end of the map. And really your goal is to, as much as you can, is to kill as many monsters as you can inside the fog before it dissipates so that you can collect as many rewards as you can. Now, you can see now I've kind of left the fog and a little timer has come up. It's a 5-second timer, and within that 5 seconds, if you can get back in the fog, you can continue to kill monsters and gain the rewards. Now, once the 5 seconds has elapsed, the encounter has ended, the league mechanic, and you'll see that whatever rewards that you had collected while you're in the fog has dropped. So in my case right here, I've got a loot filter on, but the notable drops here are, you know, a belt, a cluster jewel, some of these Similacrum splinters. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what those additional drops are from the league mechanic, but otherwise, in terms of engaging the mechanic, that's all there is to it. So I'm back in my hideout now, and what I've got open here is the Delirium stash tab. It is a premium stash tab, so by no means do you need to have this for any of it to work, but it is a nice way to organize all of your Delirium specific drops and currencies, which I'll go over now. So the first is the Similacrum Splinter. You saw some of these drop in the demo just now. Basically, you collect 300 of these. It will create the Similacrum map, which you can run in the map device. I'll show a demo of it a little later in the video so you can see what it's like. But basically, it is a map with 20 rounds of monsters. And after you clear each round, you'll get some rewards associated with the round. The second type of Delirium specific drop are these Delirium Orbs. Now, all these orbs function the same way, but there are all these different types as denoted by the icon that is on the orb. For example, this one here is the currency orb, and this cartographer's one here is the map orb. But basically what you do with this currency is you apply it to a map, and what it does is it will turn the map into a Delirium map, and on top of that, it will add that specific type of reward into the map. So I've got this one down here. It is a Parandis orb. It will add Parandis reward type to the maps, and I'm just going to show you an example. I'm going to apply it to this Burial Chambers map, and all I do is use it on the map, and as you can see, it has added a Delirium reward type Parandis items, and it's also added this layer called Players in Area are 20% Delirious. Now, you can apply up to 5 Delirium orbs on any given map, and it'll go up by 20% each time. And the more you apply, the harder the map's going to get. You know, the Delirious monsters are going to be stronger, and they're going to have more health, they're going to spawn more. But obviously, the more that you do, then your rewards are going to be more as well. And so I'm just going to apply a second orb here, and they don't have to all be the same. But what I'll do is I'll apply another Parandis orb here, and you can see it's gone up to 40% Delirious with 2 reward types, Parandis and Parandis. And then I'll add even this Abyss items one to it as well, just to show you it's now 60% Delirious, 2 Parandis rewards, and 1 Abyss. So there's just a few more things to note with the Delirium orbs on the maps. The first is as soon as you apply one orb onto the map becomes a Delirium map. What that means is when you enter the map, there will be no mirror to walk into. The whole map will just be covered in fog, and also there will be no time limit for you to complete the map. The fog never goes away. The second thing to note is that the rewards will drop as soon as you hit the milestones, every level in a Delirium map, rather than at the end of the map. The third thing is that inside these maps, you can come across what we'll call mini Delirium bosses, and when you kill one, they'll drop additional Similacrum splinters. All right, so the final and probably most interesting Delirium-specific drops are these cluster jewels. Now they come in three sizes: large, medium, and small. And as usual, I'll go over the mechanics of how these work, but there's an enormous amount of depth when it comes to cluster jewels. So I encourage you to do some additional research after this to see how you can best incorporate these cluster jewels into your own build. So from here, I'm going to show you an example. We're going to look at the large cluster jewel here. So the first thing you're going to notice are these enchant sort of line items, the top four, we'll call them. Adds 10 passive skills. 2 added passive skills are jewel sockets. Added small passive skills grant 12% increased damage with bows, and added small passive skills grant 12% increased damage over time with bow skills. So when you put this cluster jewel into the skill tree, which I'll show you in a sec here, it goes in very specific jewel sockets in the tree. It will unlock additional skills that you can actually allocate skill points to receive the effects of what's shown on this jewel here. Now, on the bottom are the ones you can actually roll on the jewel with alteration orbs or chaos orbs, or however you want to roll the jewel. And on mine, as you can see, added small passive skills also grant 3 to all attributes, also grant 4% to chaos resist. And then the bottom two are where things get really interesting, is that added passive skill is Devastator and added passive skill is Tempered Arrowheads. And what those two are they are notable skills that are added through the Delirium League mechanic. And there's hundreds of these notable skills specific to cluster jewels that you can only unlock through cluster jewels. So I'm just going to quickly put this large cluster jewel into my passive tree just to show you what's going to happen. So I've got my passive tree open here. I mentioned before that the cluster jewel can only go into very specific jewel sockets, and those are these large jewel sockets. They exist on the edge of the trees. For example, on the left side here, I've got these 3 points to the large jewel socket. Another example would be in the top left corner of the tree here. It's got a large jewel socket in the corner. On the top right corner of the tree, there's one. On the right side of the tree, there's one, etc., etc. It won't go into these basic jewel sockets. It has to be one of these large jewel sockets with the fancy border around it. So I'm just going to put the large cluster jewel into it, and if you recall, it's going to add 10 passive skills, 2 jewel sockets, and 2 notables here. So I'm going to put that in, and there you have it. It spawned a new wheel of skills on the skill tree that you can actually allocate points to. And as you can see, it's 10 points, 2 jewel sockets. These are medium jewel sockets now, and the 2 notables, Devastator and Tempered Arrowheads. And what I can do is I can allocate. Oh, one more thing is the small skills you can see are the 3 attributes, 12% increased damage with bows, 4 chaos resistance, and 12 damage over time with bow skills, which was exactly what I had rolled in combination on this jewel. So everything here that says small passive skills grant are on these small passive skills now. So I'm just going to allocate all the points here, or at least enough to show you the next level here. So then once you have these medium jewel sockets allocated, you can now put a medium cluster jewel into it. And it works exactly the same as the large. It's going to add passive skills. You can roll some notables that are specific to medium cluster jewels, and it can have additional effects on the small passive skills. So when I put it in, it's added the 4 passives, which I will allocate here now. And then finally, in the small jewel socket, you guessed it, you can put a small cluster jewel into it. I'll show you here. It'll add the 2 there, and it's got all of the node effects into the jewel. So there's just a couple more things to know when it comes to jewels in the passive tree. The first is if you have no points allocated beyond the jewel, you can just remove it for free. However, if you do have points allocated behind the jewel, you can, refund them 4 points to get rid of these 4, for example, but I would not recommend that. What you can also do is try to just take the jewel out. What it will tell you is it can refund all the points associated with that cluster jewel at a discount. And in this case, for the 4 points, it will consume 1 refund point. I say yes. And so it only took 1 refund point to get that out. And similarly here, if I want to take out the large cluster jewel, it's going to take me 2 refund points to do instead of 10. The second thing to note with the cluster jewels is that the socket will host any jewel that is smaller than the socket size. For example, the large jewel socket, you can put not only large jewels into it, but also medium jewels. You can put small jewels. You can put regular jewels into it as well. But the size of the jewel that you're putting in has to be smaller than the socket. So for example, if I put this medium jewel in here and unlock the small jewel socket, I cannot put this large cluster jewel into the small jewel socket. So it has to be, we'll call it a waterfall or cascading jewel size. It has to be large to medium to small. All right, so the final part of this video will just be a quick demo on the Similacrum map. Again, you collect 300 Similacrum splinters to create the map. I won't show the whole map, but just a couple waves just to give you an idea of how that works. So I take my Similacrum, I just put it into the map device. Maven has to be toggled off, by the way, in order to do this. And I will go into the map. And here we are, we're in the Similacrum map. So all you have to do is walk to the middle where the mirror icon is. And as you can see here, should be pretty self-explanatory, but in this case, I'm on wave 1 of 20, interact to start. There's a nice little disclaimer here that says any items that you do not pick up before the next round will go away. And it will even tell you what the reward type for this wave will be. In this case, miscellaneous items. There's also a convenient stash down here in between waves where you can tuck your items away if your inventory is getting full. But like it says, I just have to engage in order to start, and the map will fog up and monsters will spawn. And let me just quickly kill them, and I'll show you what the end of the wave looks like. Alright, so I'm at the end of the wave now. I've killed all of the monsters, and as you can see, an assortment of items have dropped. The rewards do get better as the map goes, but all you have to do is just pick up the loot and start the next wave. Alright everybody, that should be everything you need to know to get started with the Delirium League mechanic. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. If you enjoyed the video and my other content, please like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Times are in the description below. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.